Welcome back to That's DPI. I'm Zach, and that is Tyler over there. And we are mourning the loss of an unfortunate dynasty. The RMS dynasty has sunk on the Kansas City Chiefs, as you've just seen. But we have a lot of great content to bring you guys, but I will pass it to Tyler first to talk about what you just saw.
You're live. The RMS dynasty. What can you say about the dynasty? A beloved dynasty. Or it started off beloved anyway. 2018, America was rooting for the young, spirited Patrick Mahomes against the villainous Tom Brady. And it dies with the LA Chargers. But it was a good run. Truthfully, though, I don't think the dynasty is fully over. Obviously, our playoff hopes are over. First time since 2014 that the Chiefs will miss the playoffs, and the first time ever in the Mahomes era. We'll be back as long as we avoid the iceberg next year. But no, as a kid, I dreamt of just seeing one Super Bowl. Seeing 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 or 6 years, I really can't complain. We are now experiencing a normal year. And hopefully we're back. I think as long as Mahomes can get healthy again, if rehab goes well and he can be back by week 1, Chiefs are once again one of the more scary teams in football.
Yeah, a lot of that was just me poking fun at Tyler, unfortunately. When you have 3 Super Bowls of cushion, you can take a little bit of ribbing from a Lions fan, right? I think. So,
honestly, yeah.
But, there's a lot of stuff, especially with the Lions, that we're going to get to. And actually, back to our regularly scheduled programming, we've got a ref call of the week from LA. And Tyler, I know that you didn't actually watch this one live, but I will send it over to my clip. It is Colby Parkinson, the tight end for the LA Rams, making a catch over safety Daniel Thomas. And I will play the clip, and we'll talk about it after here.
Okay, so we've got a maybe catch, maybe bobble.
There were 3 angles.
I see the.
I want to show.
Okay.
I want to show this one, and then I want to show.
And I'm seeing this live. I was to the viewers. I was at work at Arrowhead, so I'm reacting to this live.
So interesting angles of this catch here. What are your initial reactions?
Obviously. Yeah, I see a bobble, of course, but I'm not sure if I see the ball fully hit the ground because he's not going out of bounds there. So if the ball never hits the ground, I want to see this angle again. My initial reaction is it looks like his hand gets underneath the ball. So while it does bobble and move, I'm not sure if I'm seeing it hit the ground. What was the ruling on the field?
So there's actually 2 elements of this play that we need to talk about. Number 1.
Okay, and I don't know the outcome of this play either. So I'm truly live reacting to this.
Right. The first outcome is whether this is a catch or not. Obviously, it's in question, right? Because the ball is moving throughout the entire, process of the catch. It's just a matter of is it touching the ground when it is moving, right? That's the key element. And the next element is this a touchdown? As it was ruled on the field and confirmed by the refs. That's the 2 elements that we need to look at.
Touchdown. I didn't even think about
this
if it
was
was a touchdown
and
or not.
Confirmed by replay review as a touchdown and completed catch for the Los Angeles Rams. Something that I think is wrong on both counts, unbelievably so.
Okay.
I don't think this is a catch, and it's certain if it is a catch, it certainly isn't a touchdown, because we can see from the second angle, which begins here, that if he does maintain possession of it, it would be right about here, and he is well short. Also, I think that ball is right here and is touching the ground, because you're saying it's under his hand, and I'm seeing ball. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a catch. This hand is also folded under weird, making me think that it couldn't possibly be
the ball.
No idea. Can't tell. It's hidden somewhere. We can extrapolate from this view that the ball is somewhere behind the hand, right? But I think this view gives us the best look at it because you can see where the tip of the ball is. It's right in his chest, in his numbers. So when it comes down, you can presume that he's just going to smash this ball down. And based on where this hand is, that ball's going to come and hit the ground. Based on physics, right? It's not going to teleport forward and go into his hands. And so the ball, especially the back part of it, it's probably not visible because when we were looking at it from there, the ball is here. So it's not going to be visible through this gap. But it looks to me like the hand, there's not enough hand underneath that ball to say completed catch. But I'm curious your thoughts.
The ruling on the field was catch and touchdown, correct?
Correct. They confirmed the ruling on the field. I believe if they said incomplete, they would have not confirmed it. But that's another conversation.
So yeah, and that's why I asked that question, because in order to overturn something, you have to have clear and obvious evidence, or you have to have clear evidence to overturn it. I see hand underneath the ball. And so if they have a touchdown here, then that means the refs are saying that as of a split second before this screenshot, because this paused clip right here is having the ball in the end zone, but it's saying that up until right now, so right here, they're saying he doesn't have possession of the ball. Go like one more frame real quick for me. And then he still doesn't have the ball, or doesn't have possession of the ball yet. And now is when he
say that's possession.
No, hold on. Or maybe now, or the next frame, I should say. But now is when he, at the earliest, could have possession based on the ruling.
They're saying that he gains possession here in the end zone right here, honestly, because
pretty much,
there's no way
that's where he gains possession. Yeah.
Wow. So here's my thing. Obviously, his right hand is not connected to the ball here. It's out in front. You can see. And it doesn't reestablish contact with the ball until kind of in the end zone. So that means he would have to establish, really maintain possession, because he hasn't established it yet because it's a touchdown. So he's just maintaining it long enough to get into the end zone. I don't think...
Or keeping it off the ground, really. I wouldn't even say maintaining. I don't think he's established control at all yet. But it's at least not hitting the ground yet, is at least what the refs are saying.
That's a good distinction, yeah, because if he had control, he'd be down, right? So he's not maintaining it. He's just, he's prolonging the maintain part. If he had possession
at all, he would have been down.
Exactly. And so that's why I think this catch is so confounding, and it's because of this view here. Take a look at where the ball ends up. This is...
it certainly looks like it's about to drop.
There's no way that this hand, which is on the nose of the ball, gets underneath the ball enough to establish possession, in my opinion. This angle is the key.
But watch that left hand, though. Watch it dip under. Watch that left hand. Watch where it goes.
The left hand is still on the nose of the ball.
Curl.
The left hand is still on the nose of the ball. You can see his fingers still. It's not underneath it. And his body comes and smashes the ball into the ground. In my opinion, you can't say that he has possession there. You just can't.
And I don't think he does have possession. I don't think he does have possession yet there. But I'm also not seeing the ball on the turf yet. And maybe it's because the helmet covers it. But if the helmet's covering it and we don't know where the ball is, it's not enough to overturn.
Another underrated element is you can see the white glove of the safety get underneath where the ball was going to land, meaning that he could have inadvertently kept the ball off the turf, but we couldn't see that.
Sure.
At the end of the day, Lions fans were rightfully mad at this play because it looks like he didn't maintain possession of the catch at all. If this is a catch and touchdown and Dez Bryant's isn't, I feel like that's where a lot of Lions fans are upset, right? But at the end of the day, there's not enough evidence to rule either way. And so they just went with what was on the field, frustratingly enough, because we don't have enough camera angles to tell if that ball ever did touch the turf.
Maybe based on the evidence I'm presented, I confirm it also, because I don't see it ever hit the ground.
I just think the key,
because I see that blue glove. I see that blue glove underneath.
I just think the key point of evidence is right here. The ball is slipping through his hands, and he barely gets that glove underneath it. And I don't think that it's physically possible, based on the laws of physics in the universe, to
So
keep
what
this
is
ball
that blue
off the
right there?
ground. This
What is
blue,
that blue then right there? Yeah. What is that then?
that's his glove.
That's his glove, right?
But it's on the nose of the ball here. It's not possible to keep the ball off the ground. And like you said, he can't have maintained possession here because the refs ruled it a touchdown. And so the refs don't think he has possession here. And so when his body slams down onto the ball, I don't think that the laws of physics allow him to keep it off the ground and complete the process of the catch at this moment. So he's still bobbling at the end, honestly.
So here's what I think happened. And this is kind of what I think, because you see that ball not more flat, you see that ball more angled up. So if he's got his hands underneath the nose of the ball, like where my microphone is, then that ball's going to jar up into his chest like it hit the ground, but it didn't hit the ground. It hits his glove, still bobbling, but never onto the turf.
Okay, so
that's what I'm arguing.
I have a slight devil's advocate argument, but for fear of making this one last too long. So when do you say he does complete the catch here? Because right now,
probably right around, but one knee equals 2 feet.
Look, he loses possession out of bounds, so he still doesn't have possession. He didn't make a football move. He didn't make a football move. I would argue that there's not enough time to establish possession if he's still bobbling it here. He never makes a football move. The foot jars it loose. I think this is incomplete by every standard, because in order to say that it's a touchdown, it has to be a really late establishment of possession, meaning that the establishment of his possession came right when you said, right here. But is there enough time? We talked about this last week with Isaiah Likely. I don't think there's enough time. He doesn't make a football move. This, to me, is still incomplete.
Unless, and then I'll end it here too, unless he's considered like down by contact before losing it with his knee in the end zone.
Maybe.
That could be the only way, because otherwise I'm with him. Like, ooh, that does come loose.
It's an ugly play.
Knee down by contact and then lose. By rule, if that is the sequence the refs are seeing, then it would be a touchdown based on their thought process. But I do see the controversy there.
Right. Because in order to understand the refs' point of view, the establishment of contact of the catch has to come after this point, because it couldn't have come before. And so the clock starts at this point. And we're in slow motion, and he's still moving, and then the ball comes loose fully, and he loses possession out of bounds. To me, there's not enough time. If you're going to rule that Isaiah Likely didn't have possession when he took 2 steps and made a football move, you can't argue that he has possession in the end zone either. It's, once again,
Likely was never down by contact. He never had a knee down.
But he was 2 feet in bounds. He was effectively established in bounds, which is one of the parameters of a catch that we went over. You can still lose it after establishing 2 feet in bounds, as the refs ruled earlier, right? And you said yourself, you have to survive the ground. And he didn't. He didn't survive the ground. So that's my ruling, is incomplete. He didn't survive and maintain possession of the ground enough while in bounds. It's the same exact ruling and logic that the refs used to overturn Isaiah Likely's catch last week.
I think we're 2 for 2 on weeks where we disagree with the outcome of the call, where you and I disagree with each other on it,
which has led to some good debate. I think that, I enjoyed that little 8-minute segment. We have another one here, and this one I actually did see live.
Yeah. Not every Chiefs game I get to see live because I'm supervising different things, but I actually did see this live. So, I'll talk about my perspective of things too. But here's the clip. We see a helmet-to-helmet contact on Thornton. He's hurt. Kelsey's mad about it. They call a unnecessary roughness hit against a defenseless receiver. I think they call it that part. And then after discussion, they decide to eject number 23 from the game as well.
So we didn't get very many good angles of the broadcast on this, or at least that I could find on the internet. So this is going to be our best look here.
Mhm.
Xavier Worthy makes the catch, kind of hunches over, tucks his head down, and Tony Jefferson, I believe is his name.
Tyquan Thornton, not Xavier Worthy.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Tyquan Thornton, number 80. My bad. Tony Jefferson, the safety, lays the lumber, makes head-to-head contact, and Thornton is down big time. And then this was a discussion from the field, correct?
Yes, they said after the refs met in the middle because the fans were furious, and myself included. The fans were furious, and they met in the middle of the field, and then after discussion, number 23 is ejected from the game, and then the fans erupted. I had a buddy reach out to me this week about this call, calling this a clean hit, that it shouldn't have even been a penalty, and that part's just wrong. 10, 15 years ago, yeah, it's a clean hit. But in the age of lowering the helmet, which the NFL does not have targeting, by the way, that is a distinction as well. There's no targeting in the NFL, but they do have unnecessary roughness, hit on a defenseless receiver for lowering the helmet. He does lower the helmet. At the very least, this is, in fact, a 15-yard penalty. The real question is, what constitutes an ejection in this case?
Yeah, that is the question, right? I mean, it's something that I asked when Brian Branch was ejected for a similar hit a year ago against the Green Bay Packers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you want me to read you the rule of what personal fouls?
Is there? Well, maybe personal fouls. Like, yeah, you lowered the helmet, you made contact with the helmet, but is there a rule that talks about ejections based on that contact?
So here is the only mention of ejections in the defenseless receiver section
Okay.
of the NFL rulebook per football operations. For unnecessary roughness, loss of 15 yards and an automatic first down, the player may be disqualified if the action is judged by the officials to be flagrant. That's it. That is it. So it really leaves the book open as far as the officials are concerned. Whether it comes from New York or whether it comes from discussion on the field, there is no parameters that says when this happens, kick his ass out, right? That's kind of what we're looking for, but we don't get. And that's a common theme if you've read through the NFL rulebook like Tyler and I have. It's frustrating when you're like, well, I guess we'll never know. It's up to discretion.
Right. And my perspective on this, I was actually at the 30-yard line, or not the 30-yard. I was near the goal line on this side of the field when this occurred, and so I was fairly close to this play actually happening. And live speed, we were furious at Arrowhead. We're like, that is insane. And this comes, I think, 2 plays after one of our receivers is called for. I think this is 2 plays after Juju Smith-Schuster is horrendously called for a blindside block. So the fans are already mad at the officials. And then that happens. And I was talking with security. Security actually was looking for a fan that had thrown a beer onto the field from a previous call. The refs are horrible in this game overall. So when this occurred, us and security started looking to see if there were going to be more things thrown onto the field. But nonetheless, the fans were furious. They definitely felt live that this is flagrant. And maybe it was the energy from the crowd. Maybe the refs thought it too. But a grand majority of the people in that stadium thought it was flagrant live.
Yeah, I have one alternate angle to show the viewers here. It's really low quality, but I think it's important for our analysis if we're going to talk about. Yeah, that's what did I tell you? It's a tiny circle in the middle of the screen. But here is a very slowed down version of the hit on Thornton. So it is directly helmet to helmet contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thornton makes the catch, tucks his head down. And here's the thing. I just don't know if this is flagrant because it doesn't really appear that Tony Jefferson had much recourse. It doesn't appear
And
that he could have done very much.
While looking at that second angle that you just showed, I would agree.
Is it unnecessary roughness hit on a defenseless receiver? Absolutely.
Yes.
But flagrant?
I think if you were to read the mind of Tony Jefferson there, he is not intending to hurt Tyquan Thornton. However, again, just based on the energy of the stadium, it certainly felt that he needed to be ejected. And maybe the refs picked up on the crowd there. Maybe because like refs know if they messed up. When they show it on the screen and you get a couple boos, you're like, whatever, that's the home crowd. But when you show it on the screen and there's 80,000 chance of ref you suck and booze and maybe a beer, the refs might have had a notion of we haven't been calling a great game. Maybe that's the thing, maybe it's not. The energy certainly felt that he should have been gone.
Yeah, and I
live speed, it looked bad. Live speed at the stadium, it looked bad, especially when you get hurt right away too.
Sure, and I think that it's important to make the clear distinction that you and I both agree that this is a penalty. No question in our minds that this is absolutely a penalty. The problem is determining whether it's flagrant or not. I don't like the subjectivity of the NFL rulebook, and I think that you can argue both ways, and that's why it's subjective, right? The refs clearly have an argument. Whether they share it or not in the pool report is a different story. The pool reports have been more and more useless as the season has gone on. If you're not familiar with pool reports, it's one single reporter asking questions to the refereeing crew after the game.
Was there a pool report for this
I don't know if I don't think a pool report was released for this particular game. And if it was, I didn't see it or any references of it.
I haven't seen it either.
So the issue is how did they make the decision that it was flagrant? And we'll never know. I disagree, but I think that an argument can be made. But I just don't think that there's anything Tony Jefferson can do. And I think flagrant to me implies blatant and because the entire thing is hit on a defenseless receiver. That's exactly what he did. But it has to be intentional and obvious.
But my final argument, and maybe this is why the vibe was so much worse than maybe the video shows, is because Tyquan Thornton wasn't going to get up and continue running. However, Tony Jefferson never attempted to stop. And that's why I think maybe the crowd thought it was so much worse than maybe the angles show, is because live speed, you're seeing him run through Tyquan Thornton and not even attempt to stop. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think that's grasping at straws for an ejection. But there's not a whole lot we can do because unlike a catch, we can't actually argue what flagrant means because we don't know and the NFL won't tell us. So that's all we have for you on that one, unfortunately.
That is, and just kind of like I said, my final word that I've reiterated is the crowd certainly wanted him gone. Not because he's a Charger player, but because everyone wearing red certainly thought it was flagrant and not just a penalty. And maybe the refs fed off that.
I think that as someone who was watching the game as well, it was loud. But until we get a ref on the show, we have no idea how the crowd affects ref calls, if they even do. So we'll have to wait. Maybe one day.
Fair.
But we are going to move on to our next segment, which is Contender or Pretender. We have a couple of teams that are firmly entrenched in the playoff race that we want to talk about whether they're for real or not if they make it. Maybe some first round exit candidates here. There's actually some first round bye candidates in this list of teams as well. So we will have to get into that. But we're starting with your rival team, the Denver Broncos.
I think they are a contender. I don't think they actually win the AFC, but I think they're more of a contender than a pretender. Their defense is really good, and just the more I see Bo Nix play, Bo Nix is playing very good football this year. On top of the good defense as well, their defense is not as good as that 2015 Super Bowl defense for Denver, but I think their defense is legit, and I think Bo Nix is legit.
So I might get crucified. This is one of my hotter takes. I think that they're pretenders. I don't believe in the Denver Broncos. And the reason for that is one of the reasons you said they're legit. I think Bo Nix is not a very good quarterback.
Interesting.
It's the one thing that Nick Bright and I agree on, because I despise the man. But him and I agree that Bo Nix he has a huge problem with reading defenses. And I think that a creative schematic defense will cause him issues. And I thought that it was going to happen in Kansas City, and it kind of did. They just had a lot of bounces go their way in that game, and that's been the story of the entire season. The Denver Broncos have won by the skin of their teeth. They were down 3 possessions to the New York Giants, and they pulled off a miraculous comeback. This team gives me 2024 Kansas City Chiefs vibes. A good team that is elevated to excellent by blind luck. The Kansas City Chiefs, it's largely the same roster, was 11-0 in one-score games. You don't get that way without luck, and has now flipped the coin and has not won a single one-score game since then. I think that the margin of error for the Denver Broncos is so slim that they are profiting off of luck that is going to run out eventually. That is my take.
The 24 Kansas City Chiefs also were playing really good football in those one-score games. They were well disciplined, and I think this is kind of how Denver is a little bit too. And I also think this is the difference between last year's team and this year's team for the Chiefs, is that the Broncos this year and Chiefs last year of 24, they were disciplined. They would not cave in those one-score games. Their defense would step up to the plate and finish it off. And then, their offense wouldn't waver, or the offense would at least do enough to help out the defense. And that's how I see Denver. The 2024 Kansas City Chiefs were also the AFC champions. So if we're comparing the Broncos to last year's Chiefs, they would quite literally be contending for a Super Bowl.
That's a good point. And I think that my it's more of a personal vibe feeling. And I don't make, you know me, I'm very statistically based. I don't make vibe decisions very often. I try to do it as infrequently as I can. This team gives me the same vibes, and I understand that the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl last year, and they were completely embarrassed. And every flaw that we've seen this year was exposed in that Super Bowl. I know we talk about the blueprint all the time. It actually was out this time. The Chiefs are beatable, and the Eagles just did it better than anybody has. The Denver Broncos, I feel, are beatable as well. People just need to find a way to exploit a few different things, and that blind luck won't carry them very much further. And that's how I felt with the Chiefs last year too, and they ended up proving me right just at the last moment.
That's fair. To me, the Broncos are AFC championship losers. That's how I see them.
Yeah, and if they get the first round bye, that's winning one playoff game. I think that's where I have this team too. I have them winning a playoff game, and then I have them losing to a better team.
Okay, that's fair. I think we're in agreement. We just maybe have different definitions of the contender versus pretender, but I think we've got them in the same spot, though.
I agree. I think we found common ground there at least. You are more brazen on Bo Nix than I am, but I think that defense does make up for a lot of his deficiencies. But our next team is my least favorite team, so I can go ahead and start. It's the Green Bay Packers. And this is obviously a team that we have to kind of make some educated guesses about, right? Because they just lost star pass rusher Micah Parsons for the season. Really unfortunate injury, but it is massive, and it affects the entire landscape of the NFC. The Packers, before that happened, were my favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Now, I think that they are candidates to lose in the first round and potentially miss the playoffs entirely.
Hold on. You thought that they were like legitimate Super Bowl contenders before Parsons went out?
Yes, Parsons was playing so well that he made that defense even scarier than it already was. The Lions just put up 34 points on the Rams, one of the best defenses in football. That's the most points they've ever put on that anyone's put on the Rams this season. And the Packers have beat them twice. To me, the Lions have a legitimate offense and a streaky defense, and the Packers completely shut them down multiple times. To me, they were a huge contender.
Interesting. To me, they've always been pretenders. I think the first start of this to start the season, they were a legit contender. They've always been pretenders to me. You know how when you see a struggling team show really glimpses of success, and you're like, man, if they just do this little finish this piece, they're going to be really good. I felt the opposite with the Packers. I felt like they've shown glimpses of like badness, and you're like, if someone picks up on that and or exposes that, they're toast. And that's how I felt that they were always going to be. Maybe kind of win a wild card game and then lose in the divisional playoff. That was their ceiling with Parsons to me. And now that Parsons is out, they are definitely toast now. So to me, they've always been pretenders.
Yeah, not to be overlooked. They also lost Christian Watson, their 6'5" deep threat receiver. I think that's almost as impactful on this offense because half of that offense is just risky deep balls that Jordan Love hucks and prays. And a lot of those are caught by Christian Watson. And
part of with him in the offense, they were pretenders also.
But with him in the offense, it's kind of sustainable to a frustrating degree. But without him in the offense, they have to rely on rookie Matthew Golden, who hasn't shown anything to this point, which makes me think they also lost Marshawn Lloyd, a backup running back. Josh Jacobs is on the injury report with a knee and ankle injury. Zach Tom is now shaken up. They're pretty good right tackle. And they also lost Evan Williams, their safety, who didn't participate in practice. So there's a lot of injuries that are piling up. So if you thought they were pretenders before, they are certainly bigger pretenders now.
Oh, yeah.
But we have back-to-back NFC North squads. Chicago is up next, a team that just barely lost to Green Bay a couple of weeks ago.
They're pretenders.
Really?
I think the Bears are pretenders. And now, maybe they're not pretenders this year. But, like, the Bears do this thing where whenever they get a young quarterback, that first year, they do well. And we touched on this a couple weeks ago. I think they're going to get the 1 or the 2 seed. I think they're going to win the division. And I think they're going to blow it.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward. Keep it simple, stupid, right? They're going Bears are going to Bears.
Their point differential is horrible.
Yeah, before their rout of the Cleveland Browns, who are a joke, they had a negative point differential as a 9 or 10 win squad. 9-win squad. Unbelievable negative point differential. I can't believe that. I think that this team has, if you would have asked me in week 5, pretender, holy crap, pretender. But they've put a few things together that makes me nervous to play them in week 18, and my Lions beat them by 30 in week 2. So I think that they put a few things together. I like this team better than Green Bay. I like this team better than Seattle. And I like this team better than whoever represents the NFC South. I think that this team goes all the way to the NFC Championship game.
I like them better than Green Bay. On Seattle. It depends where the game is at when they're facing the Bucs, the NFC South winner. If the game is in Tampa, which it wouldn't be, I would like Tampa. If
Not so fast, Junior. The Panthers play the Bucs for the division lead this week. And the Bucs just lost to Atlanta.
All right, if the Panthers win, then yeah, I'm with them over the NFC South winner. If the Bucs win, If the Bucks win, and say the divisional game, like let's say Detroit passes Chicago, Chicago somehow falls to a 5 seed or whatever, whatever the seeding works. They fall to, I don't know. If the game is in Tampa Bay, if it's Bears at Bucks in any situation, I'm picking the Bucks.
Okay.
I don't see the Bears in the NFC Championship.
Huh. I like them a lot more than I did earlier in the season. I don't think they represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, though. I do think that is the Rams, and it's not particularly close. But I do think that they play the Rams in the NFC Championship with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I just think, like you say, they blow it. This is kind of similar to our takes with Denver. I like the Bears a little bit better, but we both think they end up in the same place, which is Cancun. Cancun at the end of the season. We're going back to the AFC, though, with New England. What do we think about the Drake Matriots here?
I want to say Pretenders really badly. But I love Mike Vrabel as a head coach, and I think this is a really good year for Drake May. And I think he's legit this year. Will he sustain that? No, I don't. I think if we're talking about longevity, they're Pretenders. But I think in the 2025 season, the Patriots are Contenders. And that's different from what I've said 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
but I love their two leaders.
Despite their loss to the Bills, you're still A-okay with contending New England Patriots.
Yes, to me, the Bills are the team to beat. And it's also the team I'm rooting for now, also.
Interesting.
And so I can see it being Patriots versus Bills for the Super Bowl.
Oh, that would be
and
so
it being
electric.
Super close.
That would be so electric if that happens. I'm gonna actually, you kind of convinced me. I was gonna say Pretenders because they've had a extremely easy schedule, but there's something to be said about taking care of easy opponents. The Green Bay Packers lost to Cleveland. New England has taken care of business against bad opponents, and that's not always easy in the NFL. The Eagles lost to the Giants. Like, parity happens, and when you can consistently beat bad opponents and stay on top of the AFC, I think it's like you said, it reflects leadership. It reflects poise from the quarterback position and the head coach position. And those are two things that you need to go far in the playoffs. Consistent play and good leadership. And they have that.
And something to say about Mike Vrabel, too. Mike Vrabel was the coach of the Titans when they took a 6-seed Titans to the AFC Championship where they lost to the Chiefs. And then the following year, 2 years later in 2021, the Titans were the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel can coach a good team.
And he has playoff success on his resume. So if he can take Ryan Tannehill to an AFC Championship game, I think he can take Drake May there.
And this was 2019 Lamar, who Lamar was MVP in 2019, right?
That sounds right.
Because 18 was Mahomes, I know. So I think 19 was Lamar. So Mike Vrabel took a 6-seed Titans into Baltimore to face 2019 MVP Lamar and whooped them.
Yeah. No, I think contender for sure. And to the absolute joy of my relatives in New England, who I will see in a week, I'm sure that they will be happy with that segment. But we have another team. We have Buffalo. They've had some ugly losses this season. Based on what you just said, you think they're contenders.
This is what I think of Buffalo. Hey.
If you have not seen our content about Highmark Stadium, please go watch that. It was a blast, and partly why I will also be probably rooting for the Buffalo Bills in the AFC if I were to choose a team.
Oh yeah, 100%. Bills are my team going forward with this season now that the Chiefs are officially eliminated. But yeah, I mean, Buffalo's the team to beat. The only team that can beat the Buffalo Bills is the Buffalo Bills. History has shown that that's been enough. But if the Buffalo Bills can just not shoot themselves this year, Bills are winning it.
Yeah, I think they have
Bills are my favorite team in the playoffs. They are the team to beat, I think.
I think they have a sneakily good offensive roster. I think that O-line is incredible. James Cook is one of the best weapons in football. And of course, Josh Allen is back there, right?
Mm.
I think the problem
The
lies in their defense. But with their defense, I don't see an offense in the AFC that's potent enough to take advantage. I think Buffalo goes on to the Super Bowl. They would have to get into a
Bills have
dogfight with
only
New
been
England.
taken out. The Bills, yeah, they would have to get bucked by New England. But the only team in history, or not history, obviously, but like in recent history, really the only team that's been able to beat the Bills is the Chiefs. And now that that's off of the table, doors wide open for them. They just got to
Yeah.
go take it.
I agree. I think that the defense being a slight concern is overshadowed by how good that offense truly is. Even with the lack of a star wide receiver, I just think that the combo of Cook and Allen on the ground is really hard to stop. It allows you to control the game, and Buffalo doesn't need an elite defense to beat the teams of the AFC, especially if they're Mahomes-less now.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest challenge will be if they can knock off New England and go face one of the NFC offenses that terrify me, like the Rams or
Mm-hmm.
the Seahawks, or if the Lions make it there. But speaking of our next team,
Mm-hmm.
it's the Seattle Seahawks, led by Sam Darnold and Offensive Player of the Year favorites, Jackson Smith and Jigba,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
To me, they're contenders because I think all the pieces are there. I think it really comes down to will they do it on any given Sunday? But I think they certainly have the ability to. I think facing the Rams twice a year, along with just another game after game tough NFC team, I think they're battle tested. And I think that's why people might think they're not contenders is because they're living in this in the Rams shadow right now. I think they're contenders.
I think a lot is going to be told when the Seattle Seahawks face the Rams for a second time on Thursday, December 18th. We're gonna see a lot of them, which is just in 2 days. So I do think they're contenders as well. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba has been incredible. I think Sam Darnold has revived his career. We can officially say that now, right? Because he went from Kevin O'Connell, a QB whisperer in Minnesota, and Justin Jefferson to the Seattle Seahawks and lit it up the same way with a receiver that is widely regarded to be less talented than Justin Jefferson and an offensive coordinator and head coach that are largely seen to be less talented at developing quarterbacks than Kevin O'Connell, because Kevin O'Connell's up there with some of the best for reviving quarterbacks' careers. So I don't think that we can doubt Sam Darnold any longer. The problem is with Sam Darnold is even under Kevin O'Connell, he performed poorly in the playoffs. So I want to see if that rears its ugly head once again, because they did lose to the Rams earlier, but it was very, very close. I don't think that you can attribute that to Sam or anything like that. So I think contenders until proven otherwise, and they've proven me that they
I
are
agree, and I
contenders.
think this week will be a good glimpse at telling us can they handle bright lights, because this is the lights are going to be very bright this week, and they're going to be even brighter in the playoffs. So we'll see how they do.
I agree. And our final team, and a team that I don't want to talk about after a loss, is the Detroit Lions, a team that has won their division in back-to-back seasons, still has a chance to, relatively realistically, if they went out, it's a 30% chance. I would say that that's realistic, right? But I'm curious your thoughts. Are my Lions pretending?
I would not book your Super Bowl tickets if I'm a Lions fan, but I would put them as contenders.
Wow. Okay.
I think similar to the Bills, they've really just shot themselves in the foot. I think Washington was a great example of that. Last year, I don't think the Lions were a worse team than the Commanders last year. They just shot themselves in the foot over and over that game. The previous year, the game that you may have blacked out due to trauma.
Yes.
The Niners didn't beat them. They shot themselves in the foot over and over again. I think if they just turn the gun around and shoot another team instead of themselves, they've got a real chance.
So I wrote I'm outing myself here. I wrote an article for the Pride of Detroit fan feed, which is an online kind of sports newspaper that I read. That
Hold
says,
up real quick. Did this article get published?
Oh yeah, it's out there. You can go find it if you
Oh,
want.
we have to find.
I will give you the title, and those dedicated viewers are allowed to search me up and see my sports writing career take off as a fan writer for the Pride of Detroit online community.
What happened?
But I wrote in my article after the Rams game, my title was "Get Hot at the Right Time."
Okay.
I think
get hot at the right time.
And so the Detroit Lions must get hot at the right time. They've traded wins and losses since week 5, if you can believe that. They have not won back-to-back games since week 5. They also have one of the hardest strength of schedules in football this year. They played a first-place schedule, and they played a lot of tough teams, including Kansas City at full strength, which they lost. I think the Detroit Lions have a real opportunity to get hot against the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Bears. Beat teams that are worse than you. Execute. Stick to your guns. Bully them. They're also getting healthier. They won't get Brian Branch back, but they may get Kirby Joseph. They will get their left guard, which will complete the offensive line that they started with in week 1. Get hot. Get healthy. Get hot. And go win a playoff game. Go win 2 playoff games. This team is, by and large, better than the one that went to the NFC Championship game in 2023. That team's defense was terrible. If that team can go to the NFC Championship, then so can this Lions team. I am still confident. I have not lost the faith all season. You guys know that. Every week I say, don't panic, don't panic. We still don't have to panic. Even though I sound panicky. I've also written other articles about Brad Holmes as a GM.
Is your name attached to this, or is it just like from a fan? Here's the title.
It's my name is fully attached to it. I'm Zach B on Pride of Detroit, so it shouldn't be that hard.
I'm just gonna Google real quick. Zach B. Pride of Detroit. I just want to see what comes up.
I've never even done that, honestly. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to.
What is your favorite moment from the Lions' first game? Something about Zach Cunningham. I'll find it.
It's gonna take some searching, but I think that you can find it with a little dedication. But
I'll find it.
So we both agree the Lions are pretenders. Then yes, I mean sorry,
no,
contenders.
I said contenders. I was gonna say I said contender.
Okay, interesting. I'm curious to see, because if they win out, I'm gonna jump into my Lions recap if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Lions obviously lost to the Rams. That's a buzzsaw. I'm glad that the effort that they put up in that game, right? I think that, 34 points against one of the best defenses in football. The run defense played like trash against the Rams for the Lions, but the Rams have bullied literally every single opponent in the run game. I don't think that's going to be endemic. The Lions have a good run defense. They have the personnel. So I think, and here's the situation. Lions get in with winning their last 3 games and a Bears loss. That's it. It's so easy. And the Bears play the Packers, and the Bears also play the 49ers.
So
and the Lions.
Do the Bears have to lose twice then? Of course, once to you guys, and then one other.
They have to lose one to us.
The Bears play these final 3 weeks?
They play Green Bay, San Francisco, and us. They have to lose. They have to lose to us, obviously, and then they have to lose one of those 2. Beyond possible. The other scenario is the Green Bay Packers. The other scenario is the Green Bay Packers go 1-2. So if the Bears beat the Packers and the Packers lose to the Ravens or the Vikings, who are hot and just beat the Cowboys, the Lions get in as well. And if the Lions win out,
so it's certainly possible.
Yeah. And if both the Packers and the Bears go 1-2, so that would mean Bears lose to the Niners and Lions, and the Packers lose to the I forget who they play. The Vikings and the Ravens,
those
right?
records. Mm-hmm.
Then the Lions win the division. So nothing is off the table here, guys, for Detroit. That's why I'm saying we got to keep the faith. So much can change in a week.
I need to borrow one of your Lions jerseys because, like, for the first time since I was in middle school, the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. So I need teams to root for, and I'm certainly rooting for the Bills on the AFC. And I maybe the Lions will be my NFC team for the remainder of the year.
Maybe when we, go out next weekend, I will allow you to borrow my Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey. Do you like him?
Or I can just hang on to the jersey that I've got in my.
You do have my Jameer Gibbs jersey, so yeah, you could do that. If you like the white jerseys, that's fine. But
we'll see.
But
I need to get a Sue jersey. Now's my opportunity to get an Ndamukong Suh jersey.
That's too bad it wouldn't be in until next playoffs.
No limit.
So,
but
funny
it'd
story.
be good quality.
That's
but
true.
It would take a second.
Tyler and I have a jersey guy that we buy aftermarket jerseys from, and he notoriously takes months after he actually ships.
That's not his fault, though. That's not his fault, though. Because,
not at all. But he does also promise, hey, this will be here by Christmas, and then it gets here by Valentine's Day. So it is kind of his fault that he overpromises, but he at least delivers quality product eventually.
But at the same time, though, I've bought at least 3 or 4 jerseys from him. I've bought a Cubs jersey, a Cowboys jersey, my Bills jersey that I wore, a WNBA. I've bought 4 jerseys from this dude. Like, I'm gonna keep going back.
Yeah, and I have my Hutch, my St. Brown. No, not my Hutch. I have my St. Brown, my Gibbs, my Brock Wright. We've all made purchases from this gentleman and been very happy about it, mind you. So
he's a good friend of mine too. So
yeah, it's the classic moniker. You can have good and cheap, but you can't have fast. You can't have all 3 of those. And he's good and cheap. And as far as I'm concerned, those are the best 2 to have. I am a patient man.
We need to get a That's DPI jersey.
Oh, we need to design one, right?
I need to see. We'll play around. Season 2 of That's DPI may feature a jersey.
Our first merch. It'll be like my Canada jersey that I wore in the Bills content, which if you have not watched, go watch it. I wore a generic Canada jersey that was the Bills colors, and almost nobody noticed. It was wonderful. But we have one more segment. Enough shooting the shit. We have one more segment, and it is must-watch games.
As always, there are 3 games. Here is TK's top 3 games of the week. Starting off early this week is that Rams and Seahawks game. We've already highlighted that game. The lights are going to be bright for both teams. I think this is a battle of the division. I also think it's a possible playoff picture or a possible playoff matchup as well, between maybe a 3 seed and a 6 seed or a 4 seed and a 5 seed, whatever the seeds end up being. But it's Rams and Seahawks. Lights are going to be bright for both teams the rest of the season. This is going to be a glimpse for how they do. The next one is Packers at Bears. These are 2 teams that are still fighting for Packers are fighting for playoff contention. Bears are fighting for playoff seeding. It's also just Packers and Bears, right? It's always going to be a must-watch game. One of the oldest rivalries in the NFL and one of the best rivalries as well. And finally, I have Steelers at Lions. Another 2 teams fighting for a playoff appearance and or possible division title. I think both teams have long shots for the division title, but realistic odds for a playoff push. And both teams need this win to stay in a good playoff picture.
Yeah, a lot of desperate teams on that match. Desperate for validation, desperate for wins, desperate for, playoff success down the line. And it all starts in week 15. So
I am also a little bonus thing. I am also watching the Steelers because I will be going to a Steelers game in just a couple weeks. I will be going to Steelers at Browns, a battle of the NFC North division rivals. So you guys can look forward to some content with that as well.
One more sneaky That's DPI on location for you guys. Thanks to Tyler for bringing that, as I won't be able to attend, unfortunately. I'll be in New England. I'll be in enemy territory. But
Yeah, he'll be with family. You know?
well, yeah. Who does that on Christmas? But that is
Right.
all we have for you guys this week. We're so happy that you're watching still and supporting all of our ref content. So keep it up, and we will see you next week.
Appreciate you guys.